morning. Kumlen Ablat Gemara. We are up to Daf Nun Zayin in Masechta Avodah Zarah Amud Aleph, and we are learning different scenarios about what renders wine Yayin Nesach. So we are up to near the top of the page. We had the last incident that we had in the Gemara yesterday was about a Yid and a Goy together treaded these grapes. He allowed drink, not drink it, and Shmuel tried to be either machmir like Rav Nosson, that even if you just measure it with your hand, you're not allowed to drink it, you're not allowed to have anah from it, and he couldn't find anybody else who agreed because the Chachamim say you're not allowed to drink it, but anah you're allowed to. And then you had Rab Shimon who's matzah completely. The case of Rab Shimon is if a guy fell into a vat of wine. So it's totally unintentional. As mutter, he tried to draw an analogy there, and he couldn't. So we're up to the Gemara here. I moved the 6 lines on the top of the page. I moved the incident of Beiram in the city of Beiram. Dahu Oivegachavin was a goy. Dahavi Kosolik Betikla. There was a goy who was coming down from this palm tree. The icy lulava bahada. He had a lulav. Now we're going to learn like Rashi here because big machlekes in the shaynim. How I'm talking about it. He had a lulav in his hand. The konach is it was coming down, and noga bereisha the lulav bechamra. The tip of the lulav inadvertently touched Yiddish wine. Shalai bekavana, totally unintentional. So you have two factors here. Number one is no intention of actually touching the wine, and number two, it wasn't even directly with his hand. It was an intermediary. There was the lulav that touched it. Shadiya Rav lezvuni loy. Rav said you cannot drink it, but you can have hana. Sell it to a guy. Rav Kana said, not only should it be forbidden to drink, it should even be forbidden to have hana. Because you, who the Amma, didn't you rule that a tinnig ben yoimai, if a young child, a baby, a day old, a guy, it touches wine by mistake, who oise yayin esach, you're making yayin esach. So, in other words, mamish full-fledged yayin esach. So, how is this any different? Amalu, he said, when I said it makes yayin esach, I meant they cannot drink it. But if a little kid touches it, that I say it's also bahana. Now, the way we just learned right now, which is Rashi shit, a number of shaynim, comes out as follows. It makes absolutely no difference as far as the yayin esach is concerned if the goy touches it directly, or he touches it through a lulav, through something in the hand. Whether maga, it's called maga, where you touch it through something else, or maga through your yoda. Either way, it's the same din. So therefore, we're asking a kasha from a tinnig ben yoim who's touching it directly to a case of a lulav, which is through a davar acher. And we make no evidence. So in other words, according to Rashi, it makes no difference as far as davar acher or yoda. The only difference is whether it's kavanah or not kavanah. No, since it's not kavanah, so Rab Paskin, it's not kavanah, mutter in hana, us in drinking. And I've kind of asked you, no. Even so, it should be us and they understood it should be us and hana as well, and I've told them not to. Now, in kavanah itself, there are also degrees of kavanah. A kavanah to stir, or a kavanah to touch. For example, you want to measure the wine, like the case of Rav Nosson. You want to measure the wine. So you have kavanah, you're touching it directly. But what was your kavanah? To stir the wine, to drink the wine? Not at all. Your kavanah was to measure how much wine is there in the bucket. So even though that's kavanah, that's a lesser kavanah than a kavanah we had in Nasach. Yet we make no differences there. It's all the same. That's Rashi's gang. Many of the Shayim have a problem with that to the extent that Rabbeinu Tam and many other Shayim paskin they paskin klor that if a goy touches wine without kavanah, serving him by mistake is he touches wine, and aide dabracha. So aide dabracha, no kavanah, both variables. They say you're allowed to drink it. You're allowed to drink it because and aide gemara here, klor, they have a different girsa. Not that the tip of the wine touched a thing. As he was going down with the lulav in his hand touched the wine. They have a different girsa in whole gemara, which the hand. Yes, I was going up, saying, but then Nochis, when he was going down, excuse me, he was going out with a lulav in his hand, so he was thinking about himself. He's climbing down a tree and there's a lulav in his hand, and then inadvertently his finger touched the wine. That's what happened. So the only thing here is kavanah. And that's the discussion. Like Havana, I've said, okay, like Havana is mutar bahana. But if we have two chesreinis or two whatever, that there's no kavana and it was two davar achan, it's mutar l'shtia, and that's how they pass it. But Rashi clearly holds, and those who follow Rashi, that it's asa b'shtia. I don't care if it's davar achan, it's asa b'shtia as well. Okay, we'll talk more about it when we get to the next Gemara here. Let's go right. Okay, Gufa, let's analyze what I said. I've seen a kittle, a baby, Isa Yaines, it makes Yaines. That's a question. Sima Bachi asked Rab a question. It says, how like Kena Baraisa, Lokech, Abodim, Mina Evichem. You purchased a slave from a guy, Shemalu Veloy Tavlu. He's halfway through the process, but we know the din is that if you mal Veloy Tavel, you're not a yid yet. You're 100% not a yid. There's no such thing as half. Yeah, you're not Eid, but he did something. They maled themselves and they just didn't table. So this halachically, are they a goy still? How do we treat that as far as these gzeidas drabanan? You know, it was like a yainesa. How do we treat him? Eid goy, tumah, because all the goyim are considered a zav. How do we treat this person who's in midway? Now, bnei shvachis is a step above that. The mother was megayed after they were born, but they were not only are they going to go their avodim and they're going to go through the meal or tefillah, whatever they're having a tefillah. They born in a Jewish house, so they don't know about Avodah Zarah, and they were raised in a Yiddish house. They probably had a Yiddish education. So this is a step up from an Ebed. So Shemal the Tavla, they also malad. They put my kids from a shvachas that they didn't travel. So as far as tum is concerned, reikon or midras and beshuk tame, that they're just like we say that a goy where the rabbanon made a gzeda that all their saliva and everything else is like a zav with the rabbanon. So too these cases, even b'nei shvachas, and the mile of shuk we know a general rule is that if there's a suffix tumah in a shusharabim will make it. Why over here are we going to say tame? It's not a suffix whether we treat them like a zav. It's 100%. We're going to treat them like a zav, and therefore even b'shuk, even in the shusharabim, we're machmir. However, there's another view, another opinion. They say that the chachamim were not geyser in a case of malvul tovel, and why not? Because usually you mala, you table straight away. To have a situation where you mala and you didn't go any further is something which seldom happens, and the rabbanon don't make zaydas on events that seldom happen. Okay. Then so that's as far as tum is concerned. How do we treat them as far as yenon, their wine? Is gedolim if they're older? We'll soon see what it means older. Oisim yanesach. Tanim, young ones ain't oisim yanesach. The ailing gedolim what's considered God was cotton. Gedolim means yoidin betif avodah chavim. They understand what avodah zarah is, u'mishamsher, and all the accessories. And ktanim means ain't yoidin avodah chavim. You know, it's not so much on your passport. It's more to do with what do they know about avodah zarah. So by ktanim, we weren't geyser. U'mishamsher. Tanim, what we learn, however, that g'dolim in ktanim lights. It's clearly here that only g'dolim we are worried, not by ktanim. And why by ktanim over here? So what do we see? We have what? That ktanim, it's mutter because they don't know what they're doing. Nu and Rav said before that a kinnig ben yoimei touches wine is awesome. It says clearly here only by g'dolim we ask, not by ktanim. What is it like? Targum. Now the Gemara could have answered all the Shemon. I'll just say that this is talking about whether it's also bahana or not. And Rav you just told us a minute ago that he's only talking about not being able to drink. But they all say that because the Brisa doesn't make that, it's a halacha. If that's the case, the Brisa would have made a distinction between that is, we're talking about us sort of drinking, but it's yemacher. That's the usual expression, sell it. It's mutar bahana. And by saying that it's us, it means it's us in every way. So the kasha Rav. So Rab will say, the Targum, he says that this thing about Ketanim is not talking about the normal avodim. A normal Eved, Ben Yoma is also in drinking. B'nei Shvachis. B'nei Shvachis, by B'nei Shvachis is a step above that. By B'nei Shvachis, that because they know nothing about Avodah Zarah, that's an exception, therefore we didn't. There's no reason to make a Gzeda. No, why taka Tini Ben Yoma also? Because the guys, if a Tini Ben Yoma touches wine, you're going to matter it. Next time a guy will touch wine, a proper guy. But if somebody's raised in a Yiddish house, we're not going to be geyser. Excuse me. It says clearly in the Brisa as if they all have the same din when you're making a distinction. So he says no. That's regarding the din of tumah. There's no difference between bnei shvachas and avodim, stam avodim, molvul tavel. But when it comes to yayin, different. Okay, the one who said that it's tamei makes sense. You want to tell us avodim, and you also want to make a chiddush that even b'nei shvachas, you would think that look, there's no reason to make it tamei. The mamish like Yidden, they were raised as Yiddish house, so that's making this tamei. Okay. Elamando Matar, you tell me that even at what that even avodim it's tar because it's a milsul shkicha that like tava. We're not going to make it tamei. So why mention b'nei shvachas? B'nei shvachas surely the tar. Ma'ikol member. What's the point? You tell me that they have the same dinim as avodim meroikim. Of course, they have the same dinim. In fact, if anything, there's more reason to make tahir by the son of a shivcha than the son of an eved. And if an eved is tahir, surely, what do you have to mention for? No, there's something to teach something else. Kamashlan to teach you the avodim dumi de bnei shvachas. That the other way around. That avodim are actually like bnei shvachas, which is what? From a diak, an inference. That when do we have a problem? Because you only went through one stage. You did milah, you didn't do tefillah. What happened? You did both. Then full yidden, right? But not everyone agrees. Shmuel will hold that an eved who after who is converted, you had to still wait 12 months to see if they got it out of the system. If they got Avodah Zarah out of the system, because a taste and all they're trying to ask, then every ger. Why don't they make a rule that every ger, because making this transition from being a idol worshiper, now they're no longer. Maybe you got to give them 12 months to get it out of the system. So Tosfos explains that all Gerim, they become a Ger because they want to become a Ger. That means they already have it out of the system. Why do you become a Yid? So there's nothing to worry about. An Eved is sort of forced, even though then you're not allowed to really force them. That's why you have to give them up to 12 months to decide whether they want to become a Yid or whether you have to get rid of them. But it's still considered like force because they want to live in the Yid's house. So they decide, you know what, I'll become a Yid. You know, they'll give me a good life and where I live, you know, I'm poor. So that's not a willing thing. So we don't know for sure that they really, you know, remove this liking for Avodah Zarah. And that's why they and that's why what do you call it? We have to wait 12 months. And that's what the Bryce is telling you. We don't agree with Shmuel's did. Ma b'nei shvachas molo b'tavla who does the anes and molo b'tavla they went through the whole process loy apavodim came same avod la'afuke to negate the opinion of Nachman and Shmuel. What's Shmuel? Even though they're malud and tabla oisi and that's avoid come in him. Got to wait till they move completely avoid the commercial and delay in group for how long is that? Let's understand. I'm not sure. Look, you buy a slave. Until they got rid of it from their minds altogether, from their mouths. Bekama, how long is that? We know that it takes 12 months to forget something. So same thing here. To forget that kind of lifestyle takes 12 months. Get it totally out of your system. Okay, now we're going to ask a question from the same brisa on this din of Nachman B'Shmuel, which is that an Eved needs to wait 12 months. So I'm going to ask a question, but the reverse. So we'll go through quickly because the exact same price, word for word. You only went through half the procedure. So they're all considered as a goy tamei even in the marketplace. But the others say that no, in the marketplace that it's mutter machlek but mean only in marketplace or everywhere. But it's mutter either because it's a suffix and therefore will matter, or because of chila. It's such a seldom event, matter completely. But what about the wine? If they're adults, it's Yainesef and wine is not. What's the difference? They are mature, they know. Telling me what we live from here, however, only if they're halfway through. But if I ever went through the whole procedure, life no longer a problem. And usually you gotta wait 12 months. Targamos, the same answer, but a different way. Abnei shvachas. That this thing of not having to wait 12 months, don't talk about bnei shvachas. They don't have to wait because they grew up in a Jewish house. There's nothing to get rid of. An Eved got to wait 12 months. Talking about Chayin, it seems like they're the same din. Aroikun and Miluson, only regarding Tumah. Is Hanichel Mandam Tamei, I'll tell you even by bnei shvachas. Mandam Toy that the Torah Ma'ikul Mena. I'll come out and teach you what? Avodim do bnei shvachas. In what way? Ma bnei shvachas doilim lo yain Can be verkehrt. Miners don't make yain nesach. Af avodim namik doilim ois yain nesach. Can be yain nesach. La fuke med the Rav. The way Shmuel learns, he argues with the Rav, and he holds that if he did not do it with kavana, it's mutter. And now, we'll make it quick. Moshe Shainim hold the halacha is like Shmuel, because we bring a Rabbi Shulban Levi who agrees. And the rule is whenever Rabbi Shimon Levi argues, we pass Rabbi Shimon Levi against Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan against Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yochanan, so therefore surely Rabbi Shimon Levi. So which means that what? Now, what's very important is in Shulchan Aruch. Tinnig ben Yoma means you don't know Avodah Zarah. So we say that today we don't have the whole, everyone is a Tinnig ben Yoma today. Every guy is a Tinnig ben Yoma today because no one really is menasech to Avodah Zarah. Today, Bisman Hazeh, when this is 1,000 years ago, so truly today, they don't do wine libations for Avodah Zarah anymore. So therefore they say that everyone's a Tinnig ben Yoma. And very much it's mutter b'hana. That's a lot, by the way. So if you have wine stam from a guy, you're allowed to sell it. You know, if they give you, you're allowed to collect it they owe you money and they give you a bottle of wine, take it and sell it. Or if they give you a gift, take it and sell it to somebody else or something. You're allowed to have enough. You're not allowed to drink it. However, I was saying before, there's a fascinating case there where the Ri says to his uncle at any time, according to all your different psukim, comes that you hold that the halach is like Shmuel against Rav. So Tinnik ben Yoma, you're allowed to even drink it. Because Rav said, you're not allowed to drink. You, Shmuel, now just said that to negate Rav, you're allowed to drink it. You say somewhere else that all goyim today at Tinnik ben Yoma. So according to you, the whole thing of Stam Yoma falls apart. You should be able to drink wine. That's the and that's what Taisus actually says. According to some, you're allowed to drink today wine. Because there's no such thing as yain that's chidma. And the rewrote this letter to Rabbein Tam. And Rabbein Tam said, "Oh no, what's that? You're jumping on guns here. I didn't mean that. Of course you're not allowed." Then Rabbein Tam later on became so machmir, you now even have hanoch. But then he said, "I'm scared to tell that to anybody because nobody's going to listen to me." Especially after what I wrote a long time ago that you're allowed to. Now I'm thinking not allowed to. But the fundamental question to ask is: once a chacham make a gzeira, it's stuck. Unless you have a bezin, godel, men, and minion, and all that, the chacham minion. So, okay, let's say goyim today don't. But so what? But if we asked hano, if a guy touches it, that's how do you turn that around? The taste is a very interesting thing. They never asked yayinis. They asked people who are menasech yain. If a person is menasech yain, so not the wine itself became asa. It's like the gabra, the chepsa. But we don't have any gabras anymore. So therefore, it's the greatest to live. Find me a gabra. Very interesting. Again, let's continue the Gemara. Says the Gemara, there was a story. There was an incident. Also, came along a guy. The Yisrael went into a Jewish store. He said, "I want to buy some wine. You have wine to sell for me?" He said, "Lo, you have. Sorry, we're out of wine." Yosef Chamra B'Tavla. He sees over there a barrel of wine sitting there in the corner there. Shada beYoda, he got really angry. This guy, you don't want to sell me, your wine. He put his hand in there, and he stirred a little bit, and obviously, Amalu, I love Chamru. What do I have? This isn't wine. The Yid got so angry that the guy put his finger inside the wine. What did he do? The Yid got really angry, and he took this jug of wine and Shadya Ladana, and he threw it into the big barrel of wine. He took the wine that the guy touched. He didn't want the guy to have it, so he threw it into his own barrel of wine. Oh, that's the question. Then he realized he calmed down a bit. What did I just do? So he went to Rava, who's the Rava that city. He said, "Rava, can I drink this wine?" Rava said, "You cannot drink the wine but you're allowed to sell it to her. You're allowed to have enough." Yeah, that's what he wanted. And only to a guy. Exactly. The irony. There's one opinion that the only guy you can sell to is the guy that like a case like you're talking for, you're allowed to have a no and sell to a guy. Only back to the guy who gave it to you in the first place. But over here, okay. So that's what Rabbi said, that you're allowed to have a no, you're not allowed to drink. Now remember here, the guy intended to actually stir it. This is the worst kind of intention. He intended to stir it to see whether it's wine. He didn't want to measure. When you measure, you had no interest in drinking it right now or anything, just a minute. Here, it's kavanah to the wine. If the argue with the Rava and say, "What are you talking about? This is asa b'hano. This is mamish kesi estam yenim." Now we had this before already. Novki shipuri the Rava. Rava had his henchmen who had his shayfers who would make a declaration. Visharu, and they went out there and said, "Yeah, everyone can drink this wine." What happened? They would not to be deterred. Novki shipuri the Rabba. They said, "Now their own people to asa." Now we have a rule: once you paskin, you can't go yet. But they already paskin. Well, they also said that right away. It all happened at the same time. Or especially now in this case, that being machmer. A lot of people hold you on to. So what happened was Rav Huna, the son of China, came to the city of Mechuzah. The Rav of the city of Mechuzah was the Rav. The people of Mechuzah were not good people, but Rav was their Rav. When Rabbi saw these two people who were his opponents who wanted to ask Bano, he saw them coming. He said to Rabbi Yokum Shema, he said to his gabbai, or to his shamish, to Rabbi Yokum, he said, do me a favor. Troy Gully, lock the door of my house. The loy nesu inchi the knitted. I don't want these people who are going to mutcha me and give me a hard time. I don't know. He didn't close the door or he didn't close it tight enough. All the gabbai, they came into the house. Amalei, they said to him, what are you pasking in this case, in this story over here? Amalei, Asad, I feel bahana. He now changed his mind. He said, yeah, guys, you're right. It's Asad bahana. They said to him, you said clearly that this story here, even though he stirred it, it does not become yain nesach. That it's not. So he said to them, explain to them, I was saying, of course it became yain nesach, but only the little jug that he stirred, not the entire barrel. The barrel made I meant that only the initial stirring, whatever the amount is, it's 1 liter in that jug, and the barrel has 30 liters. That 1 liter of wine is mixed up in this barrel of 30 liters. So what do? Sell the barrel, and you'll only enjoy the money of 29 liters, and the money of 30 you throw away. The I never said that. Now, the truth of the matter is, Robert said that you're allowed to have hana from the whole thing. What happened, we'll see tomorrow. Abaye came in, Abaye got involved. And he completely repudiated what Robert said. And Robert then realized he made a mistake and he changed his mind. But he did not want to, for whatever reason, to let these people have the satisfaction of knowing that he changed his mind. So he gave the whole story, which in itself needs a little bit of an explanation. Anyhow, we'll continue tomorrow in Mitzvah Hashem.